Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you.
So Bonnie, the time is yours.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to start off with a quiz. And I will get that shared. All right.
Okay, it's up, Bonnie.
Okay. Well, I need to minimize you guys so I can see it. All right, now then. Now, don't read ahead. Just a couple of real quick questions. Is the decrease in your sense of smell as we age, is that dangerous? What do you think?
Yes.
Anybody else agree?
I do.
Yes.
So what do you think some of the reasons would
Yes.
be? What are some of the reasons that it makes it kind of dangerous not to have your sense of smell?
Well, you could eat something that was tainted.
Very good. Yep. Anything else?
Or there can be gas fumes and you can't smell them, because I had to have my olfactory gone, and so not being able to smell is dangerous at times because you can't smell things that are dangerous to you.
You're right. That or fire.
Right.
Not necessarily just a big fire, but just smoke in your home.
Right.
And also one of the things that sometimes we don't think about is that the decrease in smell, in your sense of smell and taste, can also lead to a loss of appetite, and then you're into not a good nutrition state.
Mm.
So can can taste and smell be affected by anything other than aging? What do you think?
Medicine.
Medicine, that's a good one. Yep.
Well, mine was brain tumor.
Okay. So medical.
Being sick, COVID, people
Oh, yeah.
sometimes have lack of smell or taste or both.
And unfortunately, some of those things are hanging on too. And just having a cold, nasal congestion, and poor nutrition. All those things can affect your sense of taste and smell. So this is just a little fun fact. How many taste buds do we have? 3,500 or 10,000?
I say 10,000.
I say you're right. You look at your tongue and you can certainly see a bunch of them. Now this one was kind of eye-opening for me. I knew some of it just from, high school science and health classes. How many balance senses do we have? Now this is balance senses.
Surprisingly, your eyes.
Pardon?
Your eyes, your vision.
Okay.
Your ears.
Your ears.
Well, you have the feeling in your feet, and this is something I'm noticing because I'm diabetic and I'm starting to get some neuropathy in my feet, and I don't have the balance I used to have.
Okay. That's right. There are three main balance senses, not necessarily balance receptors, but three main balance senses. And one of them's your ear. The fine hairs in your ear carry sound to the eardrum. And if they're damaged, you can lose your balance. The brain has receptors to help you maintain your balance, and touch, whether it be feet, hands, whatever, the ability to perceive where your body is in relation to the floor. So now how many balance receptors, I'm just going to add this in, do you think we have? Now, this is different areas that can sense if you're off balance and help you try to balance back out. At least I'm asking you for 3 main ones right now. You have any idea? Well, it goes right along with number 5. How many pain receptors do we have? You have balance receptors also in your ankles, your knees, and your hip.
Oh,
So if you're, for instance, with me when my knees were bad before I had my replacements, I really did not have a good sense of balance at all. If your ankles are giving you problems, if your hips are giving you problems, these are areas of your body where your balance can be thrown off because those are not active in your body. Just off the top of your head, what are some of the benefits of staying active?
Flexibility.
Flexibility is a good one. Yep. Any other thoughts?
Dementia or any of those other cognitive diseases.
Good one. That's a good one.
I think when you're active, you have less pain.
You do. That's true. Any other thoughts?
Your overall healthier.
Overall health, you bet. Cardiac health, your range of motion, your heart disease, stroke, hypertension, obesity, depression, all of those are lessened if you are in good overall health. And someone brought up the Alzheimer's and the dementia, and it also improves our mental health if we're staying active. It elevates your mood, your cognitive function is better. Now on to number 7. List some healthy, nutrient-dense foods that are good for you.
Nuts.
Nuts, yes. And seeds. There's a lot of seeds that go along with that.
Greens.
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, and somebody said grains.
Right.
Seafood, eggs, fat-free or low-fat dairy, lean meats, and poultry. Now, this is the last one. What do you think is the most common or the most important element to aging well?
Attitude.
Yes, it's a positive attitude. That is the best one for aging well. All right, I'm going to go back and get another screen up. Is that sharing?
No.
Yeah,
All right, let me try again. All right.
you're sharing now.
All right, great. So we all know that aging is unavoidable. However, the alternative to aging is not good. We want to age. We just want to be able to age well, and we want to be able to age as wherever we're comfortable. Aging brings on a lot of changes. I'm sure that you have found them in your own body, in your own mind, in your own, the things that you have to do in your home. The way you take care of yourself through the years is certainly going to affect the way in which you age. Lifestyle choices and activities will impact the way one ages. There's a strong connection between healthy routine, prevention, and longevity. Now, here's that thing that Faye mentioned right off the bat. There's a lot of keys to helping to accept our aging process. And the first one is a positive attitude. We need to eat healthy. We need to be healthy. Our brain affects it. Our social activity can help us accept aging. We need to practice safety, both in our homes, if we're still working in our workplace, and outside. You need to know your health numbers. And we'll talk about each one of these a little bit as we go on. We need to be able to financially plan for this aging process that we're going to go through, we are going through. We need proper sleep, and we need to take time to take care of ourselves. All right, so positive attitude. Mental health and physical performance are improved by having a positive attitude. Our ability to fight disease and infections. Having a positive attitude can affect relationships, our social networks. But one of the things that's most important that we remember is to do things that make us happy. We need to build those close relationships, not just with our spouse, but with friends that we can bounce ideas off of or complain to, or, you know, just have that social interaction on one-on-one. We need to care for others, and not necessarily, you know, I think when we think about that, we think about, well, you know, maybe I'm not in a position physically to be able to care for someone, but I don't think it's talking about, you know, care in a home for someone. I think it's talking about just having a care, having caring feelings towards other people. And you'll notice that when you have positive or good feelings towards other, it does help your overall attitude. We need to engage in healthy and active lifestyles. We need to embrace spirituality. And the best thing about this is having a positive attitude about growing old can help you live longer.
So
All
Bonnie,
right, let's talk about this eating healthy.
Can I go back on that attitude?
Sure.
So, and Bonnie says when I retired, I didn't retire. I just changed jobs because I love substitute teaching. I love the purpose for getting up. And I think that word purpose is a real big thing. I enjoy the relationships, you know, with the students. And I always say it keeps me young. And I think that you really need to have a purpose. I always remember the saying that says, you know what happens to people who retire and do nothing, don't you? And even statistically, it shows they die. They literally die. And so the list that Bonnie's given us here, you know, some things on relationships and caring for others and healthy activities, and all of us are involved in FCE, and that involves caring for others and doing some things. And I think that just helps to, you know, feel younger. I always look at myself and I look in the mirror and I say, man, that's an old guy in there. And I don't feel that young. And so I guess that's kind of a positive outlook. And I'm sure there's others that have those.
You don't feel that old.
Yeah, I don't feel that old. I don't know who that old guy is in the mirror.
I agree. All right, so if any of you have any comments, just pop in. I can't see you because of my screen sharing, but if you do, just interrupt and we'll talk about it. All right, eating healthy. Sometimes I get real frustrated with myself because there are several things on this list that I need to be eating healthier to control. But if we are eating healthy, has an impression on one's overall health. Nutritional food protects one from various diseases, as well as chronic diseases, such as heart disease, stroke, dementia, bone loss, cancer, and type 2 diabetes. Maintaining a healthy diet can reduce high blood pressure, lower your cholesterol, help you manage your arthritis, control diabetes, and retain healthy skin, hair, and nails. Eating healthy throughout our life is important for our brains and body. You know, as bad as I hate milk, I am grateful for my growing up years that we had a lot of milk and dairy products in our diet, because that's one thing that I do not have is osteoporosis. Every time I have to go have my bone density test, the doctor says that it's you know, I've got the bones of a 20-year-old, and I'm grateful for that because I I really don't want to do any, excuse me, any falling or anything else. But I just I don't like some of that milk, but thank heaven there's other places we can get that good stuff that comes from the calcium in other areas. You know, one thing that I really want to admonish you about is drinking plenty of water. Our sensation of thirst seems to decrease as we age also, and it's important to drink plenty of water, at least 8 cups of water per day. And some of us probably should be drinking a lot more. We need this to keep our bodies functioning and to avoid dehydration. It's also recommended for those of you who take oral medications that you drink a full glass of water when you're taking those medications. So I just ask you guys on here, what tips do you have for nourishing your body as you age? What's some of the things that helps you keep your body well nourished?
Along with good drinking lots of water is also applying sunscreen and also skin moisturizer.
Those are good points. Really good points. Okay. And that's one thing that I have really noticed with me. I've always had oily skin, and about my 40s, I started losing a lot of that, especially on my face, the oil, and had to start using a moisturizer. But boy, am I glad I did. And I also am good to drink a lot of water. That's one of my bugaboos is drinking a lot of water. I love that. Any other? Go ahead.
I have a comment. If you have low sodium, you have to be able to replace your sodium if you drink a lot of water, which I just learned recently because of how low my sodium was.
Yep.
Because I had, I don't salt things, and so the only salt I get is in whatever food I eat.
That's a good point, Loretta. A really good point. So along with eating healthy, it's important. Well, here's this. Sorry. We're going to talk about this for just a second longer. You need to have a good variety in your body, of foods in your body, fiber rich, drink lots of water, reduce sodium, fat, and sugars where necessary. People with low sodium, obviously you shouldn't deplete it any longer, but it's important to check with your provider on supplements, especially if you are taking oral medications. All right, physical activity. You guys can read what's up here on the screen, but I'd like to have just a little bit of discussion on what are some activities that you consider or that you use for your aerobic activities to get your heart going. What are some of the things that you like to do for that?
Yard work.
Yeah, yard work. Yep.
I was tired last night.
Scott had to trim trees and haul the branches yesterday.
I got in over 12,000 steps.
Any other thoughts?
Well, I do the walking,
Okay. Good for you, Linda.
not as regularly as I should anymore, but I still do it.
Good.
And I do a lot of on the stationary bike. I ride a lot. So.
Good. Good, Wanda. Any other thoughts?
I exercise my casting iron on my arm, casting arm. when
Yeah,
I'm
you
casting
do.
for fish and my left arm when I'm reeling them in.
There you go.
That's exercise.
It is. So those are some examples of aerobic activities. What about strengthening activities? What do you do to strengthen those muscles?
Yard work.
Yard work. Okay. Here's some ideas. Gardening was one of them. So it's yard work. Yoga, and chair aerobics. I know there's a lot of senior citizens centers that have chair aerobic classes. You can also download good ideas for chair aerobics off the internet. I've had several, in fact, when we gave this class at our state several years ago, we did hand out a list of, or a sheet with chair aerobics on it. So it isn't easy to meet the, not the limits, but the recommendations for physical activity. We should aim for 150 minutes of physical activity for a week. Many of us probably find it's difficult, but don't get discouraged. Any physical activity is better than none at all. All
Even
right.
doing housework, if you're vacuuming, that means you're out, you're up and moving, and you also have to push and pull a vacuum cleaner.
You're right. You're right. And housework is a good one. Is you're stretching, you're walking, you're reaching, you're bending. There's a lot of things that you're doing for physical activity while you do your housework.
And you lift things.
And you lift things, that's for certain. That is for certain. All right, we talked about those. All right. So another thing that's really important to keep active, not just your body, excuse me, but your brain. How many of you do any kind of brain activity other than just reading once, at least once a week, if not more?
Well, I like to play games and my husband doesn't like them. So I do a lot of spelling and math and searching type things on my laptop.
Okay.
I play solitaire and different games like
Okay.
that on my laptop.
Good, Tina. Anything else?
And I work puzzles like crossword puzzles and search words and all kinds of puzzles like that.
Those kind of things are great. Any other thoughts?
I like to do Sudoku.
Yep. That's a really good one.
Yeah, it strains my brain sometimes.
Yeah, strains mine all the time.
I can't figure it out, so I quit doing them.
Well, I'm playing a game right now. I have it on my phone and it's called Woodoku. And it's just a puzzle book, or a puzzle game. Some of you might remember the game Tetris. It's
Yep.
similar to that, but you have to really watch because it starts you off with already some blocks on the screen and you just have to build it and be able to get to a certain point. And it's a lot like Sudoku because you have to put it in the right spot where you kind of stop yourself. Anything else? All right. Keep those brains active, keep those bodies active. Your healthy brain is vital for your growth and everyday success. It's important to be social. Stay in contact with people, even if it's on Facebook or even if it's on Messenger. Those type of contacts are still good. Nothing beats a face-to-face, but stay in contact. I think that's one thing we really learned during the COVID shutdowns is how important it is to be in contact with people. Like I say, even though it was just maybe a text message every day or two, but it's really important to have that contact with people. Keep up with your family or friends. Join a group or a club, which we've already done because you're FCE members. Sign up for a class. There's a lot of classes. In fact, I just learned 2 of my vendors at the store are taking a free painting class on, it's not really a class, on Thursdays. It's just this gal has an art gallery, an art studio, and she opens it up on Thursdays at a certain time. And you can just come in and paint, but you're there with other people, you're interacting, and you're growing a new talent or improving on a talent. Get involved in community activities. There's a lot of things that we as members of FCE should be encouraged to be involved in the community, because the second part of our name is the community. Remember, we're family and community education. So spread your information into the community. All right, social activity. What are some things that you do as other than FCE people? What are some things that you do to keep socially active with people?
Church activities,
Pardon?
church activities.
Okay, church activities, very good.
Amen.
I have a retired employers group. Former employers of our business get together and have coffee and whatever snacks once a month.
Good. Any other people?
Well, Bonnie, you know that I enjoy, is kind of a social activity. I enjoy taking people fishing, and last week I got to take 6 different groups out fishing, and hopefully I made their life a little better, and I enjoyed doing it.
Well, I know it made your life better.
Well, I'll
There's
take
a lot
everybody-
of, go ahead, Scott.
I'll take everybody here that's fishing, but it's a little far for them to drive.
Yep, I know that. Being involved in social activity is good for a person, no matter what age or where you live. It improves social skills and academic performance. It gives you a positive attitude and enriched self-esteem. It reduces the risk of illness, diseases, and risk of mental disorders such as depression. Social connectedness includes families, friends, coworkers, and other people with whom you interact as you carry out your daily activities. Social connectedness should be activities that you're involved with in your community or your home. Join a community center club or committee. Go to a theater, go to a movie, sporting event, or a festival. Other ways of being social is to travel, eat out, volunteer, or take a class. It's not too late to try to come to conference. We'd love to have you. All right, one of the things that is uppermost on all of our minds as we age is our safety. Practicing safety is important because it keeps us out of harm's way. Keys to safe living include simple lifestyle changes, recognizing where most hazards can be found and how danger and injuries can occur even when participating in different activities. Our home often represents, go ahead.
You know, when you talk about recognizing hazards, and I just want to ask everyone, do you know what the most dangerous thing, or what is the thing that as we get older, what is usually the hazard that we face?
The throw rugs.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's falling. As we become older, we fall. I mean, we trip a lot better and a lot more than we ever have. And the problem is that we don't land near as well as we used to.
No,
Even-
we don't.
Even this afternoon, I'm trimming some trees, and I have my grandson coming over to trim them up on top of the house. So he's got to get on the house and trim them off. And I used to do that all the time, but I've got to where I don't feel real comfortable with my balance on going up there. So, and simple trips, and just like somebody said, tripping on a throw rug or something like that. You know, those are dangerous. And if you read the statistics, those are things that happen to us. And we know as we get older, you'll hear about somebody broke their hip or something, and it's not good.
Well, we hear a lot of that, and that and cords in the way, and your furniture out of place from where it normally is. Those things are all tripping hazards. Go ahead.
Maybe having motion detected lights, night lights,
That's a really
There-
good one. That,
especially in
That
the
is-
hallway. When you think you're going to the bathroom, you know your way, but you know, you get up, you're sort of wobbly, and having that light helps your sense of where you are in relative to the floor and the walls and your feet.
you're right, Faye. We have not, when we got our new home 11 or 12 years ago, however many years ago it was, we have night lights in every room. Even the rooms that we wouldn't normally be going into at night, there's night lights in them. Thank heaven, our bathroom window, we have a motion detector light outside on our shop, and we get light from that in our bathroom all the time. But there's also enough light in there that I can feel comfortable navigating into the bathroom without turning a light on. But those motion detector night lights are a wonderful thing, Faye. I appreciate you bringing that up.
You know, when we go to conferences and stuff, we used to take a nightlight with us to put in the bathroom. Some
Yes.
leave the bathroom light on, but one hotel we stayed in for one of the conferences, they had a strip of lights underneath some of the cabinets that
Oh.
were really nice to, so we didn't have to hook our night lights in, because that was just enough light to show down on the floor so you could get around easily.
That's a good idea. You know, and I've noticed too that a lot of hotels now where they have the hair dryer, there's also a night light on it. And it comes on, you know, when it gets dark in the bathroom. So that's been a plus for us while we've been traveling, because I can't tell you how many night lights I've left in hotel rooms. Okay. Make
Funny,
sure
it's
you're,
also good.
go ahead.
just for- that if you have a light that would operate, I guess battery backed up, that would operate if your electricity went off, if your power went off, so that light automatically comes on, and that will lead you, keep you from being totally in the dark. I think that's a good safety measure to have.
I think you're right, Wanda. I think that's a really good idea. We have, Scott found these little flashlights, and they basically just fit in the palm of your hand, and they have LED lights on them. They have other lights on them. And they have a magnet on it. So it can be, readily available, like in the kitchen or whatever, on the refrigerator. But those type of things would be handy to have right by the side of your bed, so that you could pick that up and it wouldn't be heavy, because it's just a small thing that fits in the palm of your hand. Any kind of a light that you can have with you is a smart idea. Make sure your house number is visible from the street. That's, I just can't stress that enough, because some areas, the house numbers are really not visible from the street. Now, some areas where you have curb and gutter, the house number is sometimes painted out on the gutter, and the police or the fire could see that easily. Another thing that's wise is.
May I address that?
Sure.
There could be a city ordinance, and they will have specifically where the house numbers are to be located.
Yes.
In reference to your front door or the garage. Some people put them on the mailbox, but when you have kids come around for fundraising and they want to put it on your curbing with fire department can see that. Well, they're not going to see it when you have a car parked over it or when there's snow on top of it.
Well, that's very true.
but they have to be, in some towns, there's ordinances as to where it has to be and how big and
Yes.
what font. You can't have the curvy ones.
Yeah, well, they're not real clear to read like
No.
that. I agree with you. All homes should have high quality locks on the doors and the windows. And most homes will now also have a window that has to be free that you can get out of because of fire. And I know that our new home has one of them designated so that you don't have to go all the way through the house to get to the doors to get outside.
Every bedroom.
Yes,
our
every one
house
of our
does.
bedrooms does, yes.
Or emergency exits.
Smoke detectors and carbon monoxide monitors. I cannot stress enough how important those are to have in your home. I have to tell you a funny story. So some friends of ours downsized their motorhome to a small one. And they were cleaning and getting it ready for their first trip. And she accidentally turned the water on, in the kitchen, but had her little sink cover on. So it ran down onto off the cabinet down onto the floor. Well, her carbon monoxide monitor was right under there. They thought it was a monitor that if your water gets left on and runs the sink over. So we had to tell them that no, that probably wasn't a water monitor. It was a carbon monoxide monitor. And they need to have it checked now that it's gotten wet. You also need to have a fire escape planned in your home, especially if there are other people living in your home with you. Everyone needs to know how to get out in case of a fire if they can't get to the doors. And they also need a place to meet outside that would be away from the fire on the building. Keep fire extinguishers handy. How many of you have a fire extinguisher in your home and you check it, you know where it's at, and it's easily accessible, not acceptable? Just something to think about. Your water heater should not be set much higher than 120 degrees. Because sometimes as we age, and even if there's young people living in the home, they won't know to turn on, to get a good blend of water, and anything higher than that can burn people. Wear your seat belts and keep your vehicle well maintained. Now then, when you think about living at home as we age and as we get mobility issues, there's some things to think about with entrance to your home. How to get in easily, how to get out easily. These are just a couple of examples of places where you can see that it's been a roll, any place you could roll up to those, or even walk with a walker, or just walking and not have a lot of steps that you have to get entrance into your home. Now let's talk about the bathroom business. I think bathrooms are one of the hardest places to keep up to date for people with mobility issues. And again, one of the most important things to do in the bathroom is to clear the clutter. We have a walk-in shower, a step-in shower in our bathroom. I keep a rug out, but obviously, so that when you come out of the bathroom, you don't slip and fall. I recently had to put a new rug down, and do you know that it took me 2 weeks to get the inside curl of that rug to where it lays down so that it's not a tripping hazard at night. I had to put heavy boxes I got a big box so it was visible on top of it to keep it lying flat. It was a real hard one. I'm not going to keep rugs rolled up that long for anymore. I've had that in the bathroom or in the closet. I buy 2 of them at a time, so I don't, but it's been in there too long, and that obviously was just too rolled up. And I recognized it as a tripping hazard in the bathroom. Open your doorways so that they're wider, so that if you have a walker or a wheelchair, you can get in easily. Install grab bars. And you can see a grab bar here by this toilet to be able to get up off of it easier. Grab bars in the shower. That's one thing that we don't have in our shower. And probably as we get a little older, that might be something we need to install. Install a taller toilet. Before I had my knees operated on, Scott got us a new toilet for our bathroom. And it was handicap height, not comfort height. And let me tell you, that was tall. I had to be on tippy toes on it, but our new home has comfort height toilets, and they're really a lot easier to get up off of than the older low toilets. Add easier controls for your sink and your shower. Maybe just a one knob like this one that you gets both the cold and the hot water instead of trying to turn on 2 knobs. And again, place a nightlight in the bathroom.
Some of these shower companies that want to redo your showers and they have a molded seat that might be well until you finally need to be having a chair for the shower stall.
Yes.
And I found out with my father that he couldn't take his chair and put it into zero gravity shower because of the preformed seat that was there. So that became dangerous for him. But but you can request to have a bench that can be folded up and down, therefore allowing for shower chairs.
That's a good idea. I hadn't even thought about that with our shower. I know our shower's long enough that we could still put a shower stool in it, even though we do have the molded benches on the sides. But that is something to consider, Faye, if they're, you know, with the moldings on it, because some showers are not big enough for a shower chair in between those two. Thank you. Any other thoughts about bathrooms?
Well, I saw you have the night light on there too,
I think that's right here.
which we talked about.
Yep. Yep, night lights in the bathroom. So, how do any of you have features in your bathroom that you feel make it more safe and convenient for someone with not even necessarily a lot of mobility issues, just aging issues?
7 years ago, I broke my ankle. I had to have reconstruction on my ankle. And we'd found out 2 weeks before that my bathroom door wasn't wide enough to put my mom's walker through. So more or less 2 weeks later, my husband's tearing the bathroom doors apart and putting in handicapped doorways because the one door in our house that wasn't big enough. And then where the toilet sits at, he put bars from the wall and they round off and hook on the floor on either side so I could hold myself going down because I wasn't allowed to put my foot on the floor. I couldn't have my foot touching the floor. So we have bars around our toilet now that helps. Even my mom comes, she can help herself. And then we got the taller toilet now too. So we did do a few things to ours. I just can't get him to tear out the bathtub and put in a walk-in yet.
You know, Tina, I fully understand that. We raised our children in a 3-bedroom, double wide mobile home. We lived in it for 37 years before we got this manufactured home that we're in. And Scott jokes that the whole thing happened because we needed to upgrade the bathroom so that Bonnie with her knees didn't have to step over a shower tub or a bathtub to get in. So yeah, it's a joke, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It really needed to happen. Any other thoughts about the bathrooms things that you've done to make yours safer or more convenient? All right, well, let's move on then. We're going to talk now about those numbers. All of us need to know our health numbers. Knowing that and regular visits to your healthcare provider are some of the most important things we can do as we age. The recommended level of numbers for men and women of cholesterol is less than 200 milligrams per decimeter of blood. I'm not going to go into details. I'm just going to give you highlights. Cholesterol is a waxy substance found in the fats, the lipids of our blood. There are two forms of cholesterol: low density lipoprotein, which is LDL, which is known as the bad cholesterol, and high density HDL is the good cholesterol. A fasting triglyceride level of less than 150 is healthy. Triglycerides are responsible for the energy tissue that are needed to function. Blood pressure normal is less than 120. Blood sugar or glucose is the type of sugar that travels through our bloodstream, and it should be less than 100. It comes from carbohydrates and acts as a basic food for the body. Your BMI is the ratio between weight and height. The normal range for adults is 18.5 to 24.5. And I think those things change occasionally. So your doctor could inform you of what your normal range for your BMI is. Keeping up with your numbers is an important way to maintain health, a healthy lifestyle, and optimal aging. The next thing we're going to talk about is one thing that there's those things that we need to check up on. We'll talk about that right here while we're here. Vision and hearing. It's really important as we age to have our vision and our hearing checked yearly. And if you have problems with them, then your doctors can tell you if you need to be checked more often than that. Anybody with diabetes, heart issues should always have their vision checked more often so that they can keep their healthcare providers can keep track of where your eyes are. You need to keep track of your blood pressure, your lipids, and your cholesterol. Check for breast cancer up to a certain point. Check for cervical cancer up to a certain point. And then after a certain point, for that colorectal cancer, we need to be checked for diabetes, osteoporosis, depression, and obesity. These things should be checked in with your regular medical checkups, depending upon, I know that they don't check breast cancer and cervical cancer often after we get to a certain age, but the colorectal cancer, they do check that after a certain age. And I believe it's I think it was 50. It used to be 50 for you to have your first colorectal cancer screening, but they may have lowered that now. I am not actually sure about that. All right, maintain.
Another one to put on that list is prostrate.
You're right. That should be on there. I will add that to it. Thank you, Faye.
And you need to have dental checkups.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
needs to be on.
Dental checkups are really important also. And I'll add that after vision and hearing. I'm making notes. Thank you. All right. So maintain your good vision and hearing, annual vision and hearing checks. Manage your meds. How many of you have a computerized or a written list of all your current medications, including supplements that you might be taking?
I
I
print
do.
mine out every time I go for an appointment.
Good
I
for
have-
you, Faye.
I put mine on my phone this morning when I went into the doctor, just so I have a current one, because I had a change in medication. So I keep one on my phone.
Good idea.
You get a printout every time you go in.
Yes, you do. But you should, and you do keep those, don't you, Loretta?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yep, that you need to have that current list. I know that as people, some people with medications that they have to take, they can't afford to take them as prescribed. And instead of not taking them every day, or maybe taking half, you need to talk with your healthcare provider and see if they can't do something about getting you help medically, financially for those medications, because it does not do you any good to take a pill you're supposed to take every day. And if you're only taking it every other day or taking half a pill, you're not getting the benefit from it that you need to have. And now I'm off my soapbox on that. Keep a list of all your current medications. Discuss that list with your pharmacist and your medical provider. You should use the same pharmacy for all meds, for all your prescriptions. I'll tell you a little side story about that, and that's why I really put that on this PowerPoint. Years ago, my grandmother moved from Salt Lake City to Corning, California. Her doctor in Salt Lake kept just upgrading, or not upgrade, but updating her prescriptions. He'd just send a prescription to the pharmacy where she was getting her pills all the time. He did not know what medication she was taking now that she had a doctor in Corning. My sister and I went to see her one time, and of course I'd been watching a slow decline, so I didn't think too much of it. But my sister, we went outside, and she said, "How long has Grandma been sitting like that and just with her mouth hanging open and drooling?" And I thought, "Nancy, I don't know." I said, "It's just been kind of a slow decline." So we went in, and Grandma had all of her medications lined up on a little table to the side of her chair. And my sister took all of those medications and put them in a bag. And we went down to her pharmacist and asked him if she should be taking some of these medications together. Well, she had 2 different pharmacies that she was getting medications from. Neither, of course, during those years were hooked up through the internet or anything. And she was taking medications from one doctor. The other doctor there in Corning was prescribing the same medication for her. And she was doubling up on some of them. And she was taking another pill that she should not have been taking with either one of those medications. So we immediately went back to her, got an appointment with her doctor, and took her in and took all of those pills into that doctor. And he cut down on her, he changed it so that she's only taking the medications that she should be taking, not doubling up on some of those pills. And, sometimes as we age, we don't think to ask those kind of questions. If this is something that I should be taking with this medication that this doctor has prescribed for me. So I think it's important to take those lists to your pharmacist as well as your doctor, so that everybody knows what medication you're taking, and that you have the sense of peace that you're taking exactly what you should be taking, and not too much or not enough.
There's also some medications that I'm not sure which one it is, but I cannot eat red grapefruit
Yes,
So sometimes what you're having, your medication, is countered by what you consume.
that's exactly right. And those, there are, sorry, there are several medications that you should not take. You shouldn't eat grapefruit or drink grapefruit juice while you're taking them. During the duration of while you're taking it. So it's important to read those little notes that come with your pills so that you know what you should and shouldn't be eating or drinking while you're taking a certain medication.
Yeah, in 2000, I think it was 2015, I come close to losing my husband because they had him on too much high blood pressure medications. And thank God for his heart doctor in Bend, because he took him off of a bunch, but his doctor had prescribed high blood pressure medications, and then he was getting them from his heart doctor, and everything, he has to keep a list of everything he takes. And they've got him in pretty good shape now on what he's taking, but they wanted to do more testing a while back to make sure he was on the right amount of things. But he knows his body better than the doctors do, because sometimes they'll have him taking too much warfarin, and he himself will cut it back because he knows, and he cannot eat any greens, like no salads, nothing fresh, because if he eats it, he has major complications.
That's right. That's why it's important.
It's we had some pretty scary weekends. That one weekend, we set out the weekend until Monday, and with his blood pressure in pretty bad shape.
That is one of the reasons why I just said what I did, Loretta. How important it is that both, if you have different doctors, that they know exactly what each doctor is giving you. Your husband's a prime example of that.
You also need to watch if they're having reactions to medications, because my mom took a medication one time and my brother kept telling me how mean she was. And I didn't see it, but he was living there. And so finally, we took her medication away and hid it. She didn't know it was gone, and it changed her attitude completely. So we just tell the doctors now that she has bad reactions to tramadol, and we won't let her have that for any reason. And because it just changed her mood, and her, she was just a nasty person.
Well, and we need to be aware of things like that with ourselves and with those that we're living with, to know what's, if they start taking a medication and their demeanor changes, their outlook, their actions change, that's something we need to look at. And watch that. So, one thing that especially people that children come into the home, I think sometimes we all get our medications with child-proof caps. You can ask your pharmacist to give you easy open bottles, but if you do get those, it's important that you keep them up high enough that small children can't get hold of them. The Air Force is out flying. And it's also important as we age to ask our pharmacist to increase the font size on our labels. And I think that's one thing that everybody that has a Medicare pharmacist, they should just automatically do that. You shouldn't have to ask, but you do. All right. All right, that financial planning. What are we hearing? How important it is that we plan for our financial future. Because when retirement comes, things are a lot different. Your expenses don't go down, but your income sometimes does. So it's really important that we evaluate our income, our monthly expenses, our use of credit. It's important that we have 3 to 6 months of income in a savings account if at all possible. And we should be striving to build that all the time. Even if we can only put a few dollars in at a time, we need to start building some type of a savings account. One of the things that we need to consider when we're getting older, are we going to stay in our current home, or are we going to move into something smaller? Downsizing can reduce financial stress and also the physical stress on the upkeep of the home. But there are also the flip side. It's hard to leave a home that you've lived in and raised your family in. So there's things to consider if you're going to downsize or if you're going to stay where you're at. Is the home that you're living in, if you don't want to get a smaller one, or you don't want to move to a different facility, is the home that you're living in a home that can be made safe and convenient for someone as they age and get mobility issues? All right, sleep. How important it is, that good night's sleep. It helps us perform on a daily basis, keeps you looking good. Your body needs sleep to repair your muscles, to regulate hormones and your appetite. Poor sleep leads to accidents, impaired job performance, relationship stress, and caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol you should avoid at least 3 to 4 hours before going to bed, because they will contribute to poor sleep. Recommendations to help you sleep: exercise in the afternoon or early evening, not right before bedtime. Eat a balanced diet and don't eat heavy meals. Go to bed at the same time each night and try to get up at the same time each morning. You need to take time for yourself. It's good for the body, mind, and the soul, so age well. Any
Miss
other
Bonnie?
comments or questions? Yes.
Okay, I know it's not something to look forward to, but before you get medical problems that might affect you, people need to have a medical power of attorney, especially if their spouse has passed away, so that and financial too, so that somebody can take care of them. And if something happens, if they wait too long, then they're not able to do that because their brain functions might change. So it's very important as you age to make sure that you cover, to have somebody that can be that person for you.
To make those decisions for you, or to carry out the decisions you've made ahead of time. Yes.
Right, but it's very important. And if you wait too long, then what you want won't matter anymore, because you can't do it at a certain place.
You're right, Wanda. Thank you. All right. Any other thoughts or comments or questions?
Thank you, Bonnie. It was an interesting lesson and helpful.
Very good.
It was real good because we had one aging in place before, and I didn't get as much out of it as I did this one.
Well, thanks, Loretta. You know, unfortunately, we should probably be teaching this to the 40-year-olds because that's where it needs to start, even earlier than that, actually.
Well, when Loretta said getting as much out of it when we had it before, maybe our age made the difference. Maybe now we think, oh, yeah.
Well, that's probably true too, Linda.
Well, it was only, what, 10 years or so ago, maybe not even that. It might have been 5 years ago. Probably was.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I do have a couple of things. I have a sheet called 50 Tips for Aging Well. And if any of you want that, in fact, I'll just have Scott send it out to whoever is on here today. And there's a couple of other things that went along with the presentation that I can send you if you're interested. But those 50 tips were kind of an eye opener. I will warn you, however, I had to keep them to 2 pages for the handouts for the state meeting we did. So they're in number 9 font. So you'll need to change the font. I can't read it unless I have it on my computer and not number 9 font.
Can mine be sent to the OSU email, because I don't have to pay for those copies.
We'll send it to both of them, Loretta.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you have anything else, Bonnie?
I do not. I just appreciate everybody's patience and everybody's comments, and I especially when we were doing the quiz. You had some good comments up there. Thank you.
So will the quiz be sent out to, or
Sure.
I'll send out whatever she sends to me.
Okay, I can send the leader guide too, and then if anybody wants the PowerPoint, I can put it in a PDF form and send that to you also.
Is that on our website now, Bonnie?
It was given in 2018, Scott, so it might be.
Okay, I'll have to look there.
Okay.
I'll find it. And I appreciate you being there. And for you guys that may have came in a little bit late, we had to change at the last minute. Our daughter Carrie Evans, she had kind of a time emergency with a house that they were renting, or they had rented out, and it was quite a story. So anyway, and so I'll have her rescheduled on that right there. But I do have Pat is on here, and she's going to do. You're going to do the one in August, right, Pat?
Right, I'm doing the Ikebana presentation next month. And just remember, I'm not an Ikebana teacher, although I've been taking Ikebana lessons since I retired, which was quite a while ago. And I'm just going to share some information about the history, the difference between Ikebana and other kinds of floral arrangements, and maybe present something about the different schools of Ikebana. When I first started taking it, I thought Ikebana was just one school, but there are hundreds of different schools and hundreds of different styles. So I'll share a couple of those. So I hope you can join me next month. Thank you.
And thank you, Pat. I appreciate it. And I will be sending out that link pretty soon. I think lots of us are heading to the national conference, so please be a little understanding if I get it out a little bit later, and we'll get it right there. And as I always say too, I'm looking for anyone that would like to teach a wonderful lesson. And I know we've got wonderful ones. I mean, there are even good ones in Mississippi and good ones in Kansas and good ones in Tennessee, right, Wanda?
We can always do a good one in Tennessee.
All right. Well, anyway, I appreciate it. Anybody have any closing comments or questions?
Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate you did the class. It was very good.
Thanks, Wanda. I appreciate your comments.
And I do want to mention, if you did not get an email from national headquarters today, I am going to take and actually put on a Zoom. It's a Zoom link. You'll be able to watch the business meeting at the national conference. And they're supposed to be sending out another one for Judy Fulmer. And I think she's doing one on kind of the history of FCE and where we've been and where we are and where we're going. And so I don't know why she hasn't sent out that link. So you might be getting that a little bit later. If any of you do not get that link, please send me an email and I'd be glad to forward that to you. And I think Tina didn't get it. And so just let me know.
I just got it from my area director.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. And you can share that. It won't be really open it won't be an open discussion. But I will try to ask any of the questions that come in. If you put them in on the chat, I'll do my best on it. I've never done this before, so it's a learning curve for me too. And I got some cameras and stuff like that. So thank you very, very much. And I appreciate your support of FCE.
Thank you, Bonnie. That was really good.
Thanks, Linda. Glad you were here.
I went to my doctor and I was complaining about the aging process, and she gave me this wonderful bit of wisdom. Embraced it. Thanks a lot.
You know, you're right, because like I said, when I first started, the alternative is not good.
No. Good to be here.
Yeah, all right. We'll see you in a few
Thank you.
days.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Bless you guys. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Hey,
Thank you.
thank you.
Bonnie.
Bye.
Bye,
welcome.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Do you know about how many are gonna be at National yet?
Yes, there will be 37 full-time and 39 with 2 one-dayers.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So, yep.
See you in a week.
How many states are gonna have presidents or delegates?
Linda, I mean, Faye, I am absolutely not sure. I know that there are
Okay.
going to be, I think there's 7. I think the last count, there are 7 states that will not be represented by a delegate or a president.